Jesus concentrates his instructions on his own disciples. He does this after completion of his public discourses. He was preparing them for what was to come. Jesus loved his disciples to the very end of his earthly life and ministry. He loved them fully and completely without condition or reservation. This he did for the fulfillment of his mission, knowing that his earthly life is closing in. He chooses to demonstrate his love for his disciples in a dramatic way. He did this by taking the role of a slave and washing their feet. In washing his disciples' feet, Jesus simply uses water and a towel. It was a scandalous act. Should the one who comes from God and is going to God take on the menial task of a slave? This act points to the even greater scandal when Jesus will lay down his life crucified on a Roman cross, the form of execution reserved for rebels and slaves. Peter gives voice to the scandal of Jesus' actions. Lord, are you going to wash my feet? When Jesus says that, Peter will understand later what he is doing. Peter objects even more strongly, you will never wash my feet. We are reminded Peter's objections in Mark's Gospel when Jesus speaks of his impending suffering and death. Here, as in Mark, Jesus corrects Peter. Unless I wash you, you have no share with me. To which Peter responds, Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head. It was scandalous that he does so, knowing fully well that they will all fail him miserably in his hour of greatest need. Peter denied him and Judas betrayed him. Jesus then tells his disciples, serve one another as I have served you. Here, loving as he has loved means taking the role of a servant, caring for the needs of others without expecting anything in return. His example suggests that it is to do this not only for those who treat us well, but even for those who disappoint and hurt and betray us. Jesus offers his body and blood and institutes the priesthood of the disciples and the people of God. Christian Eucharist has received its particular form from the ideas and rites of the early agricultural cultures. The ritual of consuming of the body and blood symbolically is a transformation of the older rites of the culture of hunters. The Lord's Supper was the last Jewish Passover celebration of Jesus with his disciples. Jesus gave this ancient memorial meal a new meaning, stating, from now on, I am that Paschal lamb sacrificed to God, the lamb that takes away the sin of the world. Taking bread in his hand, he said, "This is my body," and taking wine, he said, "This is my blood." St. Paul says, Christ our Passover has been sacrificed. Like Moses, Jesus is leading the people of God to a new exodus by his self-immolation to the kingdom of unconditional love of the Father, where there is no violence and aggression, intimidation and exploitation, discrimination and suppression of the fundamental human rights. Man in existential anxiety is afraid of God. Fear-stricken humanity went to the extent of appeasing the gods by human sacrifice, as attempted by Abraham in the Old Testament. Later on, animals were killed in substitution. It was followed by the offerings of vegetables in the agricultural societies. In the evolution of the human society, the rituals also undergo an evolutionary process. Jesus offers in the Holy Meal a non-bloody offering of himself for the redemption of the world from the forces of fear and death. His sacrifice is unique as God himself is doing the sacrifice. Bread is a woman archetype and wine a male archetype. Eucharistic celebration thus expresses a unity between the animus and anima, man and woman, spirit and body. The ritual of the Eucharist supplies a symbol which has the potential for a real humanity-wide peace, for a universal sibling-ship in which hunger and death are no longer the reasons to fight one another under the spell of fear, but become reasons to come together and share. The sacrament of the Holy Meal is a therapy for the human nightmare of fear. Anyone who eats this bread will live forever.